Hey guys, it's Stephen here. How are you all doing today? Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. I certainly am, despite Liverpool just about pulling out a victory today against Fulham. We're still flying on absolutely all fronts though. They are top of the table now obviously, but we've got a game in hand. And today I'm going to talk about 5 things from the Swansea game yesterday, because it was an interesting game. It was the kind of game I think that we actually need to sharpen our senses. But before I do that, I'd be weird not to talk about the FA Cup draw, because once again it's gone in our favour. Watford and Wolves and Brighton left in it, and we got Brighton as the home team at Wembley, which is really nice because Watford and Wolves are probably two better teams. Well, they're definitely two better teams, and I'd rather face them in the finals, both semi-finals. It looks very likely now that we should get to the final if we just put anything close to our best performance in against Brighton. That's not to disrespect Brighton at all, of course, because obviously they're a decent little team, but we are obviously a categorically better team, and that draw's opened us up hugely now. Obviously, since last night as well, last video, United were still in the competition when I made the video yesterday, and they're out now. The FA Cup looks very likely, and that draw is a really good one, so I'm very positive about that draw in general. And that leads on to the first point that I want to talk about in this 5 things learned video. I'm going to mention it because it's here now, whether we like it or not, the quadruple talk. Now, the players are like 15 games away from immortality, potentially. Genuine immortality, if they do a minor miracle. I still don't think it'll happen. I don't think it at all will. But I also want to say there's nothing wrong with dreaming. You know, there's nothing wrong with thinking maybe it could happen, because at the moment now, the draw's opened up for us. It isn't going to be easy. We might not even win another 2 trophies out of 3, but I'm expecting a couple, at very least, given how far we've come this season. The FA Cup should be ours. It should be. The only thing that will give the FA Cup to someone else is a sensational performance from one of the other teams in it, or we drop our standards. You know, like, if we perform very well, that should be our trophy. The FA Cup, I think that's a fair comment to say. Wolves, Watford, good teams. Brighton, good team. But we should be able to beat all of them on our day if we played anywhere near our best. With all due respect to those teams, we've won 1 trophy already, the Carabao Cup. The Premier League, it is in our hands. And the Champions League draw, as we discussed the other day, it's opened up now. Spurs, a team that I think we should beat over 2 legs once again. And then Juventus or Ajax, probably, you know, very beatable. We could get to the final. It's a big ask that, you know, obviously the Premier League could go anyway given the run of games we've got. But Liverpool today showed that they aren't perfect. They were just about, I mean, they probably just about overall deserve that game, from what I can gather online at very least. But they're not firing on all cylinders at the moment. They look nervy. They're relying on, you know, just like last minute winners, kind of, so to speak. Not quite last minute, but, you know, they're just about basically getting through. They're making hard work of games. So essentially, it's there for the taking for us. We'll never have a better chance to do this because the draws are favourable this season. The routes have been really nice. And this is a time for us to dream a little bit, I guess. I don't think it'll happen still. I don't. But the quadruple talk now is a very real possibility. And we are only 15 games away if we win all our games to get there for immortality. That's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. It's going to fly by. And Guardiola will know this. He'll absolutely know this. So it's something to consider because it's getting more and more likely. Secondly, I want to talk about Zinchenko again. Now, if you follow this channel, which I'm sure you do because you're watching this, and if you don't, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe for loads of Manchester City content from me. Just a lifelong Manchester City fan here. If you're watching my channel, you know the other day I made an ode to Zinchenko, and I put a link above my head somewhere. And I absolutely love Zinchenko. And a big moment for me yesterday during that game was how Zinchenko came on as a senior player. Now, you all think about the players that get brought on to change, you know, chase a winning performance, and you bring on like Aguero, Sterling, whatever, these big guns that come on. And Zinchenko came on yesterday as part of those big guns to actually give us the added impetus to go at Swansea. Now, it was also because Delph was a bit unfit, maybe. His first game back in a while, wasn't playing well. But he must have felt good knowing that he'd been brought on as a defender to help City score a few goals, you know. I.e. basically, we trust you now, Zinchenko. Your seniority is slowly establishing. You've warranted that trust from Guardiola. You're unequivocally ahead of Delph now. I think that's without a doubt. He's ahead of him. And he's currently our first choice left back. Now, imagine how good that feels for him as a young player who essentially turned down, you know, Wolves in the summer. He basically said he wants to fight for his place at Manchester City. I think his attitude is a positive to the club as a whole. I think essentially he is a poster boy now for the City Football Group. He was signed to be sold. It was obvious. He was signed to go on loan at PSV, where he went and be sold on for a profit after a couple of loans. Like, you know, like Enos and Aaron Moy, that kind of thing. And the fact that he resisted that, hung around, made himself useful, he's a great example of how far a player can go with perseverance, work rate, skill, the right attitude and desire. And I love him for it. I think he's a fantastic lad. You see the celebration of him yesterday as well, leaping on the players. And I'm going to make that as the thumbnail of the video as well, just in it. I absolutely love him. I love Zinchenko. I think he's a credit to the club. I think his attitude's fantastic. And how good must it feel for him now having that seniority and that trust from Guardiola? He is our first choice left back at the moment. And Guardiola has a decision to make in the summer now. I think Zinchenko will get a new contract. I think he'll stay and be part of the squad because he's proved to himself, and he should be an example to others here. He's proved to himself how far he can get with the right attitude. I also want to talk about Bernardo Silva. I absolutely love that man. Is there a finer midfield in the Premier League at the moment? All action, all goal scoring, all dribbling, all tackling, perfect box-to-box midfielder these days. Bernardo yesterday was fantastic in whatever position he was on. Pushed out to both wings at some points in midfield, winning tackles in his own area. Bernardo was absolutely fantastic, and at some point in the future would not be surprised if he's potential captain material. Can we also talk about the technique on that strike? Genuinely sublime stuff to whip it there. It reminded me of Quaresma, like obviously his Portuguese fellow international colleague. I don't think they've ever played together. I presume they have at some point. I'm sure they have actually, given the overlap. But he was famous for that kind of outside the boot thing. I think someone called it a tribella, something like that. Someone correct me in the comments. But that technique on that goal at a crucial time. There was only one player wanted to score that goal at that moment because no one reacts quite as positively to a goal as Bernardo Silva, and it was him. And his reaction, that proper pumped, grab the ball and all that kind of stuff. It shows exactly how much he cares about this club. Obviously, as well, he's recently signed a new contract. He is totally and utterly committed to this place, this club. The fans seem to love him. He loves staying here. He's also committed to Guardiola's system. He is genuinely, potentially, and I'm going to say this, he might, in the long run, be better than David Silva. And I love David Silva, like, genuinely a magician. He could be a goal-scoring, harder-working David Silva. Honestly, I know that sounds crazy, but we could be about to see David Silva slightly better at some point. Even if he just ends up David Silva's level, I'm really happy. Even if he ends up current Bernardo Silva level, I'm very happy. He's probably better than him at the moment. I think that's not an unfair comment. But in terms of overall legacy, he could actually match David Silva's, which is absolutely fantastic. What a player. Also, I'll talk about Sergio Aguero. He got a little bit lucky with the penalty, maybe off the keeper, but his header, maybe it was offside. Well, it was offside. But it's still a quality header. What I talk about Aguero's talismanic impact on this team. It feels like every year he gets more and more senior. I guess he just gets older, so of course he does, Stephen. What kind of stupid comment is that? But in general, you know what I mean by that. He seems so comfortable within his own skin. And Swansea notably wilted in their belief when he entered the pitch yesterday. At the moment, he is playing out of his skin. There's a great quote from Guardiola. He said, during the international break, please keep your fitness and sharpness and don't just do nothing because you're playing so well at the moment. So Guardiola's telling Aguero at the moment he's so sharp, the sharpest he's ever been. Please maintain that standards and please don't chill too much with Drake and all these glamour models on Instagram too much. Please, he didn't say that, but that's probably what he's implying. Essentially, Aguero is in the form of his life. He's only like a few goals off. He's highest ever goal scoring total. He's on 28 goals or something like that, 7 assists or something like that. That's the genuine guess off the top of my head. I've read it recently. And he's like at least 10, 11 games left this season. Aguero should be looking at 30 odd goals this season. He should be looking at 35 goals if he plays anywhere near his ability. But more than that, Aguero absolutely epitomises Guardiola's intense desire to improve players and get the best out of them. At the moment, Guardiola must be really happy with Aguero. And Aguero must be really happy with his football here as well because he's playing better than ever. He's more involved than ever. And if anything, he's a better player than he was when he was younger. He's fantastic. I think he could be the man, maybe, hopefully, to fire us to success. And then finally, after all these positives, I want to be cautious because I think there was some signs yesterday of how things could be difficult. Complacency, form, all that kind of stuff. Just the shock of the newer guest with Swansea there. Essentially, there was signs sloppiness yesterday. Now, Gundogan's been very good recently. Very, very good. Fantastic player. But he showed yesterday that he isn't Fernandinho. He isn't. When the going gets tough and you've got a clever, incisive, counter-attacking team, he isn't the man for that. He was totally and utterly culpable for the second goal, in my humble opinion. People blamed Walker of that. Walker was pressing up to the left winger. Gundogan's man was Selena. Gundogan just left him to play. Fernandinho's covering the right back or covering the full back in that situation where the full back pushes forward there. Gundogan didn't do that. Fernandinho is obviously much better there. So that was it's like signs of sloppiness from Gundogan. Maybe he's got running games. Maybe he took his eye off the ball, took his eye off the focus of the ball, whatever. He's a very, very good player, playing very well at the moment. But that's a sign of sloppiness. Then Delph as well. Once again, I felt a bit too harsh on Delph yesterday. Actually, I did a video yesterday and I said he probably won't play for City again. You might not genuinely because of Guardiola and games. I felt a bit harsh because I didn't consider the fact that it's his first game for a while. He isn't a left back, admittedly. He just did well there last season, and he could have just been rusty. But there was sloppiness from Delph there, and there's also some sloppiness from Mahrez and Sane, and there's sloppiness in general to get into that position in the first place to be 2-0 down. And we've got to be careful with that because the more the season unfolds and the more teams are fighting for their lives in relegation, or the more the higher stakes in games in the FA Cup and the Champions League and so on, the more likely these teams are to cause cause bizarre bits of trouble, because we're going to face some good players in this running, and we need to be cautious. We can dream, definitely, and have the eye on the prize and all that kind of stuff, but now more than ever, we have to be more focused. Literally now more than ever, because we've got a very good squad, and we're very blessed to bring on the likes of Sterling, Aguero, and all that lot. But we can't keep relying on them. I don't think we are relying on them, but we need to essentially just realise we can't be sloppy. It's going to be hard. There's got to be mistakes. There's got to be mistakes, because it's impossible not to be. But now is a very, very big test of our mental fortitude as a club, because we're on the brink of something historic. But we have to remain focused. Anyway, guys, that's just some 5 things that I thought about the Swansea game. I'm sure there's loads that I missed below. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the game yesterday, and also let me know what you thought of the draw against Brighton. It's opening up, isn't it? It's opening up really nicely for us at the moment. Fingers crossed we can make the most of it. As ever, these guys scrolling down the side, these are my patrons. These help this channel grow and grow and grow. Thank you very much. If you want to get involved and get a shout out, or get your name in the credits as well, or even get involved in the Patreon on the Q&As, patreon.com/Esteemed Kompany. If not, just keep watching. Fingers crossed one day I'll be a full-time YouTuber, be able to do live content, live previews and all that kind of stuff. I'll get there one day, hopefully. Anyway, guys, subscribe if you're new to this channel. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Go and check out some of the other videos, including my match reaction from yesterday, the Ode to Zinchenko that I mentioned earlier, and many, many more. In a bit.